We're going to cover a topic I'm very interested in. As I think I mentioned yesterday, I gave some support for the Information Commission Office in the UK around a thing called the Age-Appropriate Design Code, which is all about privacy and how we handle particularly underage people's data. So I'm very interested in how we do the next topic. The next topic is all about marketing, mastering game marketing in the era of data privacy. We've got Jesse from Geeklab who's going to come up and talk about that. Jesse, over to you.
Back to 2016, the good old times. Makes me feel old to say that, but still the good old times. Everything that we did in this industry was fundamentally built in marketing around device identifiers. What that allows us to do essentially was that we knew the entire user journey from the very first touch point into the very, very last in-app purchase they made. So essentially, as an example here, from the very first ad, we could know that the same user came to our game, made a small in-app purchase. After probably a month or so, could have churned, but then went to another game of ours and then made a big purchase there, which allowed us to follow this entire journey through the device identifiers and understand the actual ROAS of our campaign, even though like purchase itself happened on a completely different game. Fast forward around 5 years, Apple decided to pull a little trick on us, and they removed this particular identifier that we used, IDFA, through their app tracking transparency framework. And what that led us into was this complete darkness, essentially. As we did not know no longer the entire user journey, we weren't able to understand, as an example, in this exact same example, like if the user ended up making a purchase on another game and actually calculate the ROAS of our campaigns. Fast forward another 5 years or so, after a decade from the good old times, I could argue that the situation is even worse, in a sense. We're now faced in a situation where a lot of these networks have solved these issues for themselves. We have multiple different ways of trying to identify these users and trying to make sense of all this mess, essentially. We still have Google's advertiser ID, and we're trying to model things on top of the Google data and see if the same things work on iOS. Newsflash, it usually doesn't. And in a sense, we're just in a very, very difficult place in terms of being able to make marketing on iOS effectively. And that being said, Privacy Sandbox is also on its way. So even like modeling things solely on the Google Advertiser ID and applying things on iOS will also be something that we can't do in the near future. My name is Jesse Lempiäinen. I did my time like probably most of the people in this conference at Rovio, 5 years at product marketing, primarily launching new games. After which, we co-founded the company called Geeklab that we've been now running for 5 years as well. And for the past 2 years, we've been cooking up something quite cool, where the entire thing that we've been doing is to fix this issue that I just mentioned. And today, I'm going to share how we actually did it, and also just to prove that it's not only words on paper, actually show some real data and real case examples with real game companies. Cool. So at the very beginning, what we actually did, we took a step back to truly analyze and understand how this entire industry is actually working and where are the decisions made when we do marketing. Because we did notice that there is a bit of a mismatch. Essentially, the entire foundation, like I just shared, was built on these user identifiers, device identifiers, which meant that all the decisions were made on user level. However, the decisions that we're making are actually made on the creative insights, so in a creative level. So clear mismatch. All the data that we're getting, all the data that we're trying to collect on a user level, however, we're not using that to make the decisions themselves. All right, so that was clear to us. There's a mismatch. We can actually probably build something around the creatives themselves rather than the user level data, because this is actually where the decisions are made. On top of that, we wanted to take a look, is there any possibility for us to get back to using these user level data points, essentially, going to the near future? There's way smarter people at this conference that know a lot more about these things, but just to actually share sort of the trajectory that we see is that back from 2012 until like the massive privacy scandals that Facebook had with the elections, to Apple removing the removing the IDFA during the ATT, to also now Google starting to roll out the privacy sandbox as well. So we can see that there's a clear path on where things are going. It means that first, users themselves, us essentially as well, have become more understanding of how our data is being used. We voiced it out. We actually, if someone is misusing our data, we put them into responsibility for that. Second, this have led to a lot of regulations going forward. Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them making things easier, some of them a lot slower. But essentially, a lot of these regulations are already happening and will happen more in the future as well. Which leads into advertising networks and platforms having to kind of cope into this, making this entire space again more fragmented. So we can't really see a future where things would be consolidated even more. So with this, we came to the conclusion that again, user-level solutions are no longer viable. The only kind of way forward would be to build a future where everything lies in creative level solutions. Because in its core, if you actually build something that's working between the game and the ad networks on a creative level, we could essentially do attribution and analytics without using any of these user-level frameworks that now has been given to kind of cope for the loss of IDFA. So as an example, scan. With that, we'd completely eliminate the need to actually use those user-level data points in this process. We'd have something that would work here in between the ad networks and the game. It comes with one downside, which is the fact that the more bottom of the funnel metrics that we're looking at and trying to attribute and optimize, of course the kind of user quality, the quality of the data points themselves would get a bit worse. So obviously if we have a creative and you try to optimize towards all the users that are still playing after day 180, so there will be a lot false positives. But on the flip side, that would still be a certain data point that we would actually be able to optimize towards. So yeah, we can see that the future truly lies in creative level solutions. So what we would actually need would be a framework, a creative level framework. And this is precisely what we've been now building for about 2 years, and something that we call the Audience Lab. And like I promised anyone, I could have done this exact same speech 2 years ago when we kind of came up with these theories and everything. But today, actions speak louder than words. So we're actually going to share one of our pilot partners' case study, a company called Talofa Games, and what we did together with them and what the results actually were. So, Talofa Games itself is a company based in San Francisco. They're making a game that I feel a lot of people here could probably resonate with, specifically given that I heard that a lot of people were running yesterday morning before the conference. So this particular game combines the health and the fitness side of things with something that everyone loves, which is collecting new monsters and kind of this Pokemon type of a nostalgic feeling. So with that, they had a massive opportunity. There's two kind of very, very specific audiences that they could build this game for and market this game for, but the problem itself was that they had no idea of understanding which of these audiences worked and what would be the messages and the entire marketing strategy that would actually make these audiences convert to the game. So what we did, we jumped in with our framework, the technology that we have, and here's the results directly pulled out of App Store Connect and Meta to get the costs. But yeah, this is something that I bet like a lot of you that have done marketing might feel familiar with. In the beginning, it's quite difficult. You're using these user-level frameworks that have these post-back windows and attribution windows. It's very hard to understand what the actual what's the outcome of your decisions actually is, which led to them being very, very, very this entire daily new users chart being very, very volatile. And as you can see, really, really hard to actually scale and make any understanding of. We jumped in with our tech, and basically, day by day, us being able to make decisions on a daily basis, as well as attribute things on a creative level in real time. What we were able to do was to take all the data that we had and make these decisions day by day and continuously increase the daily new users to a level in which we were now able to hit the records in 2 days in a row. In relation to cost, this is even better. We went from extremely high to the lowest that they had, leading up to taking the CPI down from 3.8 all the way down to 1.8. All right, now a couple of you might think, okay, looks a bit too good to be true. You probably changed the audience setup or the geolocation. So no, the networks in both examples, Meta. The geo in both examples, United States. What about the user quality then? Again, because of our creative level framework, we were also able to identify how the users behaved within the game itself in iOS, which led to us being able to also optimize all of our campaigns towards their key metric, which in this case, as the game was in soft launch, it was D1 retention. And again, this data is directly from the App Store Connect. We were able to maintain the exact same user quality while essentially cutting the cost in half and being able to scale up the game quite a bit. So how do we do it? Again, the tech was in the core, which gave us the opportunity and all the tools to make this happen. And it really came down to do two different main things. First, this is something that, if you do still marketing on Google, you know that this is the heart to doing these creative tests and creative strategies. But you really need to be able to make swift decisions if you want to make results like that a reality. So in this case, we had multiple different creative ideas, and we had two different audiences, one for the fitness and outdoor, and one for kind of games and Pokemon. And with the data that we had in our hand in real time, we were able to adjust the spend between these ad sets and the different marketing creatives in real time on a day-to-day basis. On top of that, we all know this as well. So when you have a certain messaging that actually then kind of works for a specific audience, so you want to iterate on that. And that's also what we were then able to do, because we had the real-time data. So within 10 days, we were able to make multiple iterations on the ad, which led to the growth that you saw earlier. On top of that, as we've moved away from the user-level frameworks that we've had, we're now able to utilize web-based attribution methods as well. So what this leaves us, we were able to communicate in real time with Meta now, in this case, and whenever a user installed a specific, came from a specific creative, we were able to give postbacks back to that creative and say, spend a bit more money on this particular one. So what did Talofa have to do in this case to make this a reality? So first, we have our SDK that you implement in your game. I quoted myself that I can install it in 5 minutes, so if I can do it, I bet every one of you can as well. So that's what they did in the beginning. They integrated the SDK into their game. After that, we essentially generate different tracking links for each creative. We have to change the campaign setup a bit to kind of fit into this schema and the tracking links that we have in our hands. And then it's the continuous optimization. But with that, we were able to bring the results that you guys just saw. This is a reality. This is something that we now have available today. Again, not any more theory and things on paper that I would be able to share here, but actually things that we can deliver to any one of you very much today. We have real-time dashboards on iOS. You can see anything and everything that's happening on a creative level. We have our booth in G2 right there. Please drop by. We can show you the dashboard. We can discuss how we can make this a possibility for you guys as well. We're very, very eager to actually have a chat and share what we've been building for the last 2 years. Because we truly think that the future is privacy friendly. A future where we can make, again, great marketing and make the decisions where on the level in which we need to make them on a creative level. So we think the future is privacy friendly, and we truly believe that the future itself is Audience Lab that we've built. Thank you very much.
Oh, I like your bird at the end. Excellent. So, anyone got any questions? Any questions? So, for me, I think this is really fascinating, particularly because the thing I think you're nailing is the fact that we have to be content. We have to be focusing on essentially brand skills, which I would argue, being the original evangelist for Unity Ads, back in the day we didn't do. We were so focused on direct response. We're so focused on the use of data to convert somebody. The actual building of a narrative of a kind of engaging component in the ad was secondary, I would argue. Mm-hmm. Is that fair, or do you see this as an opportunity to essentially develop brands further, or do you see it as just another evolution of what we did already?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like now when we've built the entire fundamentals around the use level data, and now then like those device identifiers were taken away. So if you wanted to build a massive brand, the next speaker knows a bit more about that, but you were forced to now either spend massive amounts of money in scale to understand the effect, and still kind of shoot in the dark to understand the actual impact of your decisions into how that affects your brand and how you can build up the brand. With this, now you can actually get that in real time and do that with smaller scale and start to build up the brand even the very first day that you make your first ads.
Completely get it. Last chance for a question. If anyone wants, we've got one there. I'll just grab the mic.
Hi, Jesse. Thank you for your speech. Just one question, what's the volume of installs required to do that kind of analytics?
Yeah, that's the cool thing as well. Everything is in real time, and we're attributing everything on a creative level. So essentially, you can do this with 10 people as much as you can do it with 10,000.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
I can say amazing stuff, and I think the changing of the IDFA has actually had a profound.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Did you have one more question?
No. I was just trying to catch up with time. So,
okay, awesome. Yeah, because I think I have 2 minutes left.
You do.
And I thought that this is a joke that we did in 24 hours, and
okay, go for it.
Able to put this in the video as well. So one could say now that we're finally out with this thing that we've been building for 2 years. So one could say that we're taking the cat out of the bag. So if we can, so I'd like to share a video. So yes, the cat is out of the bag. Thank you very much.